curious about fasting? What would make you choose to fast? What kind of fast would you want to do? How long would you do it for? And how would you break that fast? Do you get hangry a lot? What's your relationship with food? If you're curious about intermittent fasting, these are some questions you may want to ask yourself. Hi, this is Sarah Russell. I'm your microdose host here with your weekly mood boost and tools for transformation. And in today, I'll be covering Intermittent Fasting 101. I'm an intuitive eater. My body sends me very clear signals about what it wants, when, and what it doesn't want. And most of the time, that really serves me. But there was a period in high school where it was a little bit of a problem because all of a sudden I was over eating breakfast. And that caused my mom a little bit of concern. She's like, you're about to go and use your brain all day long. You need to feed it. What do you mean you don't want to eat breakfast? And I was like, oh, Mom, whatever. Maybe I'll have a handful of grapes. It's fine. To this day, I'm not one of those people that wakes up ready to eat a bunch of eggs. Like, not my thing. But I'm a meandery, slow-moving kind of gal. My grandmother used to say that me and my mom moved like molasses in January. So I don't feel like getting up and eating right away. Although I know like some of the trends out there say you need fat within an hour of waking up or you need protein within an hour of waking up. But that's not the cue my body was giving me. My body was saying like, hey, you need to extend the fast a little bit longer. Let's take it slow because we like to take things slow in this body. So when intermittent fasting became a trend, I was definitely intrigued. I also felt validated and vindicated because all of a sudden there was all of this research showing that this may actually be a healthy option for some bodies at some time. All right, so what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is also referred to as time-restricted eating, and we all engage with this sometimes because we don't eat while we're sleeping. So there's a deep fast that's happening while we're sleeping. And this fasting that we go through has powerful effects on the body, on the brain, and on our longevity. Fasting is done for biological reasons. Like I said, we fast while we sleep. It's also been done for evolutionary reasons. So our hunter-gatherer background meant that we couldn't just reach into the fridge and grab something anytime we were feeling a little snacky. And it's also been done for spiritual reasons as a way to prepare this vessel to connect with the divine in some way. And intermittent fasting is more of an eating pattern than a diet because it focuses on when you eat versus what you eat. And full disclosure here, if you have any kind of anxiety or shame around eating, if you have any kind of history around disordered eating, then intermittent fasting might not be for you. Because if you're in any kind of recovery for disordered eating, you know that one of the most important things you can do is tune into your body. You don't actually want to be overriding cues. You really want to be listening to those. So listening to your body is going to be far more important than any of the benefits that whatever the latest trend is, whatever it's saying that it's offering you. It's most important that you listen to yourself and really track what's going on for you in your precious vessel. Okay, but full disclosure, this precious vessel really likes intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for a while. It really works for me. It does absolutely make me feel more clear-headed. Also, it really appeals to the glutton in me because the first way I heard about intermittent fasting was, okay, yeah, it's this time-restricted eating, but you get to eat anything you want within this particular window. And then the rest of the time, your body is getting a chance to rest and digest. So I'm like, great, I can eat all of the things that I want to eat without doing a lot of damage to my body because I'm actually giving it this time to repair. So you know I like this yin yang, this extreme polarity. I'm not a moderation kind of person. I like intensity. I crave intensity. So this ability to go, sure, I'm going to eat all of these things, even though some of them might not necessarily be the most healthy options, but I'm going to give my body enough of a break that it has a chance to recover from all of the indulging that I like to do. So this particular trend really works for me. All right, so when you fast, your body gets to rest. And while your body's resting, that comes with a whole bunch of benefits. And yes, weight loss is potentially one of those benefits, but I really want to talk about all of the other things that can happen while you're fasting. So one of the things that happens is when we eat, our blood glucose levels rise, and they rise more or less depending on what it is that we eat. And high blood glucose levels, say high blood glucose 3 times fast, I dare you. When those are high, it's correlated with mortality. And one of the things that fasting does is it gives our blood sugar levels a chance to lower. It may also improve cognitive function. It may help prevent cancer. It helps with cellular waste removal. It cuts down inflammation. Something else that fasting does is it affects our hormones. So they did these hardcore studies, or they did studies with hardcore athletes, where the athletes engaged in a time-restricted diet, and they saw significant decreases in their levels of cortisol and all kinds of inflammation. So positive benefit there. Here's the thing, is fasting can also affect fertility. So with women, it can negatively impact the ovulation cycle, and with men, it can decrease their sperm count. So it affects the hormones in a way that's not super conducive to procreating. And so if you're trying to conceive in some way, intermittent fasting might not be for you, because the body's really looking for like a comfy, cozy, no stress kind of environment. And intermittent fasting does stress the body out somewhat. There are different kinds of intermittent fasting. The most trendy one, I think, like the one that people tend to hear about the most, is the 16-8, which is the one that I'm currently doing. There's also a 5-2. There's also an alternate day on, day off. But for today's podcast, I'm going to be focusing on the one that I know because I have some embodied experience with this, which is the 16-8. And with the 16-8, basically what you're doing is you're picking an 8-hour window when you're eating, and then the rest of the 16 hours you're fasting. So for example, you might eat between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., and then the rest of the time you're not eating anything. Now, they've done some research, and that 8-hour window is pretty optimal, because what happens if you get into the 4 to 6 hour window, like you can overeat. It doesn't have like the same kind of effects on the body. So really, like, not shrinking your window too much. You want to give yourself enough time in order to eat. And if the main goal is to lose weight, then it doesn't super matter what you eat during that window, as long as you're taking in fewer calories than you're expending. If you're trying to lose weight, right? You're trying to like have some kind of calorie deficit. But again, I really want to emphasize that while weight loss is a goal that you can all choose for yourselves or not choose for yourselves, that there are a ton of other benefits besides just weight loss for intermittent fasting. Benefits that you can't see on the body are regulation of liver health, decrease in inflammation, a decrease in blood pressure, reduced oxidative stress, and an enhanced healthy microbiome, and clarity of mind. And one of the benefits of intermittent fasting is it actually helps stabilize your circadian rhythm, which you know I love. So here are some general guidelines for how to get started. So like you're like a baby intermittent faster, you've never done this before, you're super curious about it, you're like, how do I get started? This is how you get started. Step 1, whenever you wake up, rather than breaking your fast right away, try extending it by an hour. And then as the days progress, you can try extending it a little longer and a little longer, slow and steady, right? We're James Clearing this. We're doing just a little bit so it's sustainable changes. And then step 2 is to restrict what you're eating. So stop ingesting things about 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. And part of the reason this is so important is while we're sleeping, while we're in a deep fast state, that's when a lot of the body's repairing happens. And if you're eating within 2 to 3 hours before bed, your body's still digesting when you sleep. And then you don't get into those deeper layers of sleep when you can actually do all of that repairing. So extend it about an hour when you first wake up in the morning, and then restrict it about 2 to 3 hours before you fall asleep at night, so that you actually have a chance to like really let the body regenerate and really clear out all of the debris. Oh, there are some things that you can consume while you're intermittent fasting, but don't get excited because it's water. You can drink water. Please drink water. Don't dehydrate yourselves when you're stressing your body out. Make sure you're consuming water. You can also have tea without any of the fun stuff in it, which means no milk, no sugar. Same thing with your coffee. You have to drink it black. You could do your MUD, but you'd have to drink it straight, which means you wouldn't be making it the way that I normally make it, where I'm putting in oat milk and I'm putting in a heaping tablespoon of honey and my little MCT creamer and whatever else. You'd have to drink your MUD straight. So just know that. But please stay hydrated while you're fasting. It doesn't mean you can't have anything. It just means you can't have very much. And usually the general guideline that I've been seeing is keeping it under 50 calories with whatever beverage it is that you're consuming. All right, here's a quote from Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. When you throw a rock into the water, it will speed on the fastest course to the bottom of the water. This is how it is when Siddhartha has a goal, a resolution. Siddhartha does nothing. He waits. He thinks. He fasts. But he passes through the things of the world like a rock through water, without doing anything, without stirring. He is drawn. He lets himself fall. His goal attracts him because he doesn't let anything enter his soul which might oppose the goal. This is what Siddhartha has learned among the samanas. This is what fools call magic, and of which they think it would be affected by means of demons. Nothing is affected by demons. There are no demons. Everyone can perform magic. Everyone can reach his goals if he is able to think, if he is able to wait, if he is able to fast. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed, please leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever else you listen. You can also go to trendswithbenefits.com to check out all of our written work as well as sign up for our newsletter. If you have any relationship questions, please send a voice memo to podcast@mudwtr.com. You know I would love to help you. Some listeners have been sending in questions. Those podcasts are starting to roll out. I'm so glad y'all are asking for help when you need it. That's such an important step. And also, try our mushroom boost. And for all of you listeners who are listening to this podcast and supporting us, we super appreciate it. We want to say thank you by offering you the discount code BOOST25 for 25% off your first order of mushroom boost. May you find your ability to perform magic and reach your goals.